We have with us a storyteller who brings Korea's cultural heritage to life. Lee Sun-kyung is an English heritage interpreter at Changdeokgung Palace, and she joins us on Talk Room today. Great to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me.
It's our pleasure. So, a lot of foreign tourists are coming to Korea these days more than ever. I'm sure you're feeling it, right, at the palace?
Yes, I do. As a matter of fact, actually last year report, we found that approximately 15 million people visited royal palaces and tombs altogether.
What do you think it's about royal palaces that attracts these foreign tourists so much?
I guess there are so many different kinds of people, so there would be so many different reasons. But definitely, I would say one of the biggest reasons will be the hanbok moment.
The hanbok moment,
Yes. The hanbok moment where they wear these beautiful garments and dresses and instantly they just became a star in their own period drama and they just roam beautifully and demurely in the palace. I could see their walk is so different. And if you watch a lot of Instagrams and TikToks, you can see these perfect picture moments. They just capture it. Maybe it's the reason why they just want to take these photos for first. And then comes, of course, the K-contents effect because they watch a lot of dramas and they cannot resist visiting us. And once they visit us, they see this beautiful splendor, and to be overwhelmed by its beauty is maybe another reason why not just one palace they visit, but they visit all the 5 remaining palaces. It's because of the K-culture they are invited in, but because of the timeless beauty they're more attracted to.
Well, you talked about the hanbok moment, and I can't continue without mentioning what you are wearing too. It's inspired by a hanbok, right? It seems like a very modern interpretation. I see sort of Western elements as well. Can you tell me a little bit, is this what you wear when you're going on your tours?
Sadly, in my office and my workplace, we have a thing called uniform.
You have a uniform.
So we have to wear the uniform.
It's not like this?
No.
That's a shame.
Oh, thank you. But this is my ordinary outfit, which alarms a lot of the people on the street, looking me weird, like where are you coming from?
They're looking at you because you're beautiful and your dress is beautiful.
Thank you.
It sounds like you're just as big a fan of these palaces and Korean traditional culture as the visitors who come to the palace. Now, you said you work at Changdeokgung Palace, which is a UNESCO heritage site, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Many of our visitors, when they first visit us, they get confused. Oh, you are which one now? And they cannot pronounce it correctly, but I can tell you that we are not the original primary palace, the number 1 palace, the Seokbokheon Palace. We are the secondary palace built during our third king, King Taejong. And in that time, when they built the palace, they decided not to be dominating the surrounding this time, but this time they decided to build a palace which will be harmonized with the nature together. And maybe that is the reason why it was called to many kings and known as many kings' homes. And also this palace, the Changdeokgung, was the home to the last king and the last emperor, Yoonghee, or the King Sunjong, until his last breath taken in 1926. So it's not just a palace, it's more like still live history where people come in to see the genuine location of the buildings.
You mentioned Secret Garden, and of course I've been there too. Absolutely gorgeous in any season. But like you mentioned, many of the, especially foreign visitors, they'll visit Changdeokgung, but they'll also visit the other palaces, the other 5 palaces as well. What, in your view, makes Changdeokgung Palace even more special?
I guess all of the K palaces have their each interesting characters and features and their charms. But when it comes to Changdeokgung Palace, I would say the number 1 will be the UNESCO because
World Heritage Site.
It's a World Heritage Site, and we are the very one currently, and we are not the only one. We're expecting to have more in the later future. But when it comes to the layout and the outstanding value, indeed, we are currently the supreme, where it is not just the harmony of nature is splendid and beautiful, but at the same time, when you mentioned the garden is quite different from the Western style. When we think of Western or European gardens, it's to be well trimmed,
manicured, quite, yes,
designed with different motifs. but we are to be less shaped by human hands. So enjoying the genuine beauty of nature is the concept. And there they place a simple pavilion in order to blend in beautifully. And the pavilions are architecture not to dominate the nature. It is to follow the flow of the nature's lead, is why I guess many people are attracted by these very calm and serene ambience where to heal.
Well, listening to your explanation, Sun-kyung, makes me want to go there right away. I can't right away, but we do have some footage, so why don't we take a little bit of looking at that? And I understand you've actually chosen some of your top spots for visitors to see at Changdeokgung Palace. So let's see them now, shall
Yes.
We really enjoyed it. It's beautiful gardens, all the pavilions are lovely, and the tour was very informative.
It was really amazing, and especially also the tour guide was really nice.
Yes,
the
the tour guide.
explanations.
Here is the Eosudangji site where the king invited the officials to work and relax. It's easy to pass right by, but if you pause for a moment, wow, a serene scene reveals itself. It's one of my favorite locations in the entire garden during the guided tour. Here is one of the last royal residences where the last empress used until 1966. Of course, many people think palace is where authority stands, but in this very last residence, you can feel warmth and also you can feel a grace. Here is the Yeonguisa Building, where the king stayed before the ancestral rites. If your feet are tired, please take a royal rest.
Beautiful. Well, let's take a closer look at some of the places that you recommended. The first one was Eosudangji. Why did you choose that place? I mean, I've seen it and I know how beautiful it is, but why did you choose it?
Actually, next to the serene pavilion site and the pond, there is a kind of an open space where people just simply pass by. And people not knowing what it is, they do not even care to ask because there's no sign, there's nothing.
There's no sign.
There's no sign. But actually, it is a very special place during the Joseon dynasty where the king and the officials come together and they did heated discussions and to bring great political results through these constant and very thorough discussions, coming to a core Confucian belief to be implemented into policies and to be helping the people. That's one of their main goal. And the other is to enjoy the beautiful scenery where they will sit or stand and to enjoy the scenery and to come up with poems, and they will just enjoy and heal. And this very location name is Eosudang, which means literally meaning of fish, su, meaning of water. So it is like king and the relationship with the officials. Like officials and kings, they are inseparable, like the fish and the water, is the reason why they placed the name there, Eosudang. Ji means a site, so it's not an existing building anymore. But there's so many kings which remain so many beautiful poems, is why the serene beauty can be interpreted through the king's eyes, through these many beautiful poems, is why I would like to recommend many of our visitors to visit there. And around this time of year, because of the autumn leaves, it's one of the most beautiful places
I can
take
attest to
pictures.
that. I've been there during the fall time, and it's absolutely gorgeous. These are the kinds of explanations, I think, that the tourists would really appreciate, and probably just regular Koreans as well, who don't know in depth these stories and this philosophy behind our cultural tradition. Now, the next one that you also wanted to recommend was Seokbokheon Hall, right?
Yes.
Tell us about that.
No worries. This very place belongs to a place called Nakseonje Hall Complex, where built around in 1847 to 1848. This building complex was built during the time of the 24th king, King Hyeonjong, and he's very well known for his art collections and his artistic taste. We anticipate and expect the adorn of this fabulous decorative colors to be coloring the building, but he deliberately excluded the color for the buildings to show its beauty, of its genuine beauty. And this complex consists of 3 areas, and the middle area is Seokbokheon Hall. The Seokbokheon Hall is actually built for his loved ones. He built 2 actually places for his love. One for his lady Kyeongbin Kim, who is a consort to him, and the other is for his grandmother. And believing that a whole family would live in peace and prosperity. The middle site, if you visit the Seokbokheon Hall, I would say cozy area, unlike the palaces, what we consider grandeur or something of magnificent kind of ambience. It is where the lady Kyeongbin Kim could enjoy her peace and her relaxation. In the very specific Seokbokheon Hall, on the corner, there was a very special space called 퇴선간. 퇴선간 is where, when the food is to be delivered or to be placed in front of the majesties, because the distance between the kitchen and the halls of the residence is quite far. So eventually, in some location, the food will get cold. So why
They would heat it up there or keep it warm.
Yes, heat it up. Or either after the whole entire meal is over, then they will actually place it and to finish off, like to collect the leftovers or probably.
So it's like a little secondary sort of kitchen area before it's actually served or once they bring it out as well.
It's true.
I see.
So the reason why I like this location is many of our visitors think that the palace is all about luxury or something where only the kings and the royal families live. But actually, it's also a working place for the working staff.
And it's also efficient for them as well. It's efficient for the workers, and it's also, it allows them to present warm or hot food to the royal family as well. So it's very efficient.
And also that very location is where the last empress, she lived until 1966. So it could be considered one of the last locations for the last royal families to live. So the longest used building.
Very well, okay. The next spot that you recommended was Yeonguisa Shrine. Yeonguisa Shrine. What made you choose that?
Yeonguisa Building is actually right next to the shrine area.
Okay.
And it is quite intriguing where it was known to be built between 17th century to 18th century between, to be a place where the king, before the ritual ceremonies to be done, they would spare a day or half a day in that very building to cleanse their bodies and souls and to place themselves in a much cleaner state before meeting their spirits of their ancestors. This very location is where my favorite spot is because it's really hard to find. Many of our visitors simply just pass by. At the very back side, there is a beautiful ginkgo tree next to the book storage, and many people take pictures there. And after their successful mission,
I'm taking a great photo.
Yes, then when they come out from that location, they pass by and they, let's have a seat and to relax. And many of our visitors would simply place themselves on it and feel comfortable. They will gaze around in the eyes of the master of the buildings, the kings. This is why normally it's hard to place yourself in the right accurate perspective as a king.
Right.
But that is the very location where the king would use in the very same perspective is why I think it's a great place to relax and to be with the king.
And it naturally draws people, but now with your explanation, they know maybe why they're kind of naturally drawn to it as well. It was designed for that very purpose in a way. Your explanations are so interesting and they're so engaging. I imagine that the foreign visitors love hearing about all these stories and the backstories. What surprises them the most when you tell them these stories or the backstories? Is it all about how they were used, or what do you think that they seem most surprised by your explanations?
Did you know that these days, it's not during the tour, it's not the buildings or not the specific intangible heritage. These days is a very special location in the throne hall. When they look inside, they gasp and say, "Oh my God, that's K-pop demon hunters.
Of course, yeah.
Inside the throne hall, or the daily office of His Majesty, there is a 일월오봉도, which is a painting screen of 5 peaks of a mountain and a red sun and a moon. And there, when the people see it, there was a scene where Huntrix sings Golden, and this big screen shows up, and they instantly click and say, oh my God, it is the same thing. So probably many of our visitors during the palace visits, they can listen to audio guides, they can read books or brochures, but the reason why they prefer more of a human touch, like having a tour guide, is because we can interact through these, what I so-called special seasoning, a pinch of special seasoning of mine.
It's kind of a customized explanation. And when you mention things like that, it relates and they get it right away. And they find that connection, I think, even stronger, right?
Have you ever heard of our King Seokbokheon? No worries, let me quickly explain. King Seokbokheon indeed is a popular king to our local visitors and our international visitors, because if you watch a lot of streaming service of Korean K-dramas, then you get to see this 19th king many times. For those who have never heard of this king, he lived indeed a similar life to Henry VIII, a Tudor of England, a man of...
You mentioned that a lot of the visitors come because they want to wear the hanbok and maybe recreate a scene in a K-drama. Do you see that a lot as well?
Very many times.
Do they ask any specific questions about those dramas, about whether they were accurate, or what kind of questions do they ask?
Through the years of decades, there's also a trend. In a few decades back, people bring a list of names, of locations, and say, where's this, where's this, where's this, where's this? But these days, they bring the cell phone or smartphone showing the exact scene of the drama, wanting to know where it is. And after they find it, and they would try to recreate that very special moment in their own way. So that's a bit of a different trend these days.
You seem just as thrilled receiving these visitors and explaining all the different sites and the history behind them. Was there a specific moment when you thought, or maybe you feel it all the time, that you felt proud and you thought to yourself, I'm so glad this is my job. I love my job. You know, when you feel really sort of grateful for what you do? Was there a moment like that?
Of course, there are many moments. I remember one time, one of the a man in 80s, he came and grabbed my hand and shook my hand and say, thank you. And I was like, why? Why are you thanking me? And he said, you just made the Korea much beautiful than he remembered like 40 and 50 years ago. And then he brought his children and grandchildren wanting to show the true beauty of Korea. But it's really hard to find because in a very busy urban area of Korea, especially Seoul, it is not to really find the serene beauty or very tranquil ambience he was expecting to see. But the timeless beauty is indeed inside the palace because not much things have changed. So in there, through my interpretations and my stories, they find the true beauty of Korea of the time, and then they will thank me of what really they could find. So I know I'm a tour guide or a palace interpreter, but they told me specifically I'm a guide who brings the heart back home. I know, the expression is so beautiful.
That's absolutely wonderful. And I think because I have also lived abroad since I was young, and I know that you lived abroad when you were young too. You first went abroad when you were 4 years old, right?
Yes.
So you must have connected with what he said on a deeper level.
True, yes.
But what made you, after experiencing all of that when you were young, come back to Korea and come back to doing something that is so Korean? You could have done anything that you wanted. I'm just kind of curious about your trajectory, your career trajectory.
So I got these kind of questions a lot because, people were like, how did you end up in Korea? You were in Canada one time while you were here. So I try to look back of my childhood, and I remember the faintest moment, but very clearly, that when we are in school, we get a lot of homeworks and assignments regarding family roots, where you have to find and discover where your families are from, which nation you're from, and through that, you have to understand what kind of part of the life you come from. You're not just an individual person, you come from a long line of family, of lineage. And I remember because back in my days when I didn't have internet, the only way to get a resource or source is through school libraries. And if you go to school libraries, if you open a book and look under K or S, just for South Korea, you'll find two lines, two sentences saying Korea was under colonial period of under Japan, and then to be divided in two nations after Korean War. And it broke my heart.
That's the only things, the only two sentences about Korea.
Yes, so I felt bitter, but at the same time, I think that was how it ignited my curiosity and my passion to dig further. And every time as possible, I try to reach out and to get more information. And even though when I came back to Korea, working as a normal worker.
Office worker?
Yes, I was an office worker for a while, and almost every week I visited with my friends the palaces, hearing stories of the other heritage interpreters, and to take, of course, many pictures back into time. And from one step to another, I guess it led me to become a heritage interpreter because I have learned so many things, and I would love to share this to the other visitors as well.
Since all of our visitors have arrived, let me begin by sharing warm greetings first in Korean. 안녕하세요. 안녕하세요.
Well, of course, you know Korean history, and I bet you've been to all the historical sites around Seoul and Korea. If you were to recommend some other places for foreign visitors, aside from the palaces, aside from Changdeokgung, which place would you recommend?
Oh, there's so many great places you can visit in Korea, especially, but because many of our visitors I meet, they do not have much time, and they want to see all of the spot in one short period. So I would recommend you Hanyang-do-song or the Seoul City Wall, where as you walk around 18.6 kilometers of the wall surrounded, you can see the entire Seoul scenery in one glance.
Get a good workout too,
It's true. And then after you circle around, you can get a badge. And collecting for badges, you get a medal badge. So it can also boost your competition and your wanting your passion to walk around more, to be fit will be a good one. Another one I would like to recommend is the Jeongguk prehistoric or Paleolithic site. Have you ever been there?
No, I haven't.
Many of our visitors, when they come to Korea, because they come to Seoul the most, they think of history starts from Joseon, and they never knew if they have did some reading, they know up down to Tangun, the founder of the Korean history, but they do not know much further. Where the Paleolithic times, you can see the hand axes and tools, and the genuine where all the history really started. And they have a perfect festival where you can genuinely eat like a Paleolithic person barbecuing.
Wow, dining experience too.
It's true, and grill and to wear and to experience. It's a great opportunity.
Well, thank you very much for those recommendations. For those of our viewers who are still considering a visit, they haven't been here yet, what would you say to them? I mean, you mentioned some recommendations for them to go to, but how would you maybe tell them to come to Korea? How would you invite them or entice them to come to Korea?
I guess Korea is a very special place where unfamiliar becomes very familiar, because when you see in Korea, the things you feel and experience is not that different. So sometimes when you travel, you meet a Korean 할머니, but sometimes from their attitude and their warm hearts, you can see your own grandmother. And sometimes you can feel the warmth and comfort food from jjigae, the bowl of jjigae or a roll of gimbap, where the true taste comes from the warm heart. So I guess when you come to Korea, you do not have to be worried or scared, but to embrace the unfamiliarity to become familiar, and comfortable things become more familiar to you, to become a place where you can feel like a second home. So Korea will be an excellent place to visit, to experience history and also modern life.
Well, I think that connection between the familiar and unfamiliar, history and modern Korea is brought to life even better through interpreters like yourself, Sun-kyung. So I want to thank you very much for coming on Talk Room today. Thank you very much.
Thank you for
sharing
having
your
me.
story.
Thank you.
Korea's palaces are not only a place that preserve Korea's traditions, but they're also a platform for connecting people and cultures. And of course, our guest today, Lee Sun-kyung, is doing her part to promote all of that at our beautiful palace, Changdeokgung. So once again, Sun-kyung, thank you very much for coming on Talk Room and sharing your story and what you do.
Thank you.
Thank you.